The Guardians just couldn't stop making news on Thursday night on their off day. Heading into Friday, a journey is about to commence and become complete. Daniel Espino is coming up to the major leagues. What a story it is.
Tanner Bobby of the Guardians, and you're listening to Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Live bonus reaction here of Locked On Guardians on a Friday. We're 4 minutes away from Friday, June 12th.
12th,
right
yep.
Here. Jeff and I were in the middle of post-production of the regularly scheduled Friday episode when we got the news that the Guardians are promoting Daniel Espino to the majors, according to a source, to make his major league debut. I think the first thing to point out, Jeff, just incredible journey and comeback for this kid, right? I mean, guy who has undergone multiple shoulder surgeries, has not pitched since 2022, made his comeback late last season, and has been back all season in the bullpen. Along his rehab from the multiple shoulder surgeries, also lost his dad. So just getting here is just such an amazing accomplishment. Obviously a high pick, a high profile high school player, and just what he's gone through in that journey is incredible for him.
Yeah, and I want to say, just in terms of like how we decide to run with information like this when it's not publicly available, is we had someone DM us, and then from there we go to some of the sources we have connected to the team and get confirmation. So that is our approach to this. This is why we're running with it, even though it's not an official thing.
It is not official. Yeah, correct. Good point.
Too important to because I know there's been a lot of talk about recent, like the success of their first round picks. Now people have talked about Bazana and Delauder, but here's another one. Here's a 2019 one who at points looked like a mini Jacob deGrom, and then unfortunately had the same health issues as a young Jacob deGrom. And then it's been, a lot of people, he wasn't ranked on prospect lists for most of last year because of how many injuries kept happening. It's an interesting choice. I'm kind of blown away by it, if I'm honest. I'll be accused of being a hater, and that's fine.
No, I'm blown away too. I
thought it would be Alaman because he didn't pitch tonight, and because Espino still hadn't built up. There's a lot of things he still hasn't done yet. So I was surprised. The stuff's great. He's still kind of figuring it out though. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him. And it doesn't. One thing you'll say is his stuff's so good. Like he's still figuring things out, but he should be able to be effective to varying degrees at the big league level.
Yeah, and to go back to what you're saying too about running with the information. So yeah, there's one person, more than one, but the person we trust a lot with this stuff that otherwise we wouldn't have gone live with this. We were debating off air whether or not to even go with this and just leave it for an update tomorrow. But once we got confirmation from someone, we felt confident enough to go with this. But it is shocking. You're 100% right. It's shocking. I for sure thought I was going to be all out. We didn't have time in the regular episode on Friday to talk about Cody Hoyer going back to AAA. We just had a whole bunch of other things to get to, and that one kind of got left on the shelf because we went really long. You'll see when you listen to that one. But we just assumed to be Franco Alamanya. He didn't pitch. He had already been up. They really like him. Shocking for it to be Espino, especially considering his last outing was yesterday, was Wednesday, June 10th, and he faced 3 hitters. He gave up a hit, a walk, and he had a strikeout, and the Guardians took him out after facing 3 batters. They have been so stringent with him in AAA. Like the closest he's gotten to regular work was he pitched May 16th and May 19th and May 21st. That was like his most frequent work he's had this year. I don't dislike the idea, obviously, A, for the story and B, for the talent. I think it's awesome that they're bringing him up.
It's also a nice reward too. Like
it's a nice reward for him. I'm just very curious to see how they handle him. And I want to go back too, because when Andrew Walters came up 2 years ago, we had talked about how, he hasn't pitched back-to-back days in the minors before. So I thought, they'll have to check that off the list. And again,
they do it like first and second game or something like
yes,
crazy
his
quick.
first week in the majors, he pitched back-to-back days for the first time in pro ball. So this is more of a watch what they do, not what they say thing, because they talked about handling this being with kid gloves, and they talked about how in the minors they want to prepare guys for everything they're going to face in the majors. So usually you'd want to check the boxes of like pitching multiple innings or pitching back-to-back days. So like they say those things, right? They say they never want to bring up a player in the majors and ask him something to do something for the first time he didn't do in the minors. But guess what? They've done that. Like Andrew Walton has, guys playing positions in the majors. Like it's just, Alaman comes into a high leverage situation pretty early on in his pro career. What did he make? Two appearances, I think. Just
Sounds
very,
right.
very strange. So again, this is one of those situations where you watch what they do, not what they say. But I will be very curious to see how they handle Espino in his role. Like because he did pitch not multiple innings, but he did have an outing where he came out for the end of one inning, sat down, came back up and pitched another inning. Didn't get out of that inning because he struggled with walks. I think it was either May 9th or May 13th. I think it's May 9th. Was when it happened. He finished an inning and then came back out and then struggled when he came back out of the dugout. And we talked about this before too, is that the Guardians are paying more attention. I think this is all teams too, but this is how things are rolling. Is it's not really the pitch count though. It's how many times you get up and down, and they pay attention to the recovery between that. So I'm just gonna be very curious to see what his role is doing this. The stuff has been electric. I mean, 29 strikeouts and 18 2/3 innings, Jeff. He has had 15 walks.
The walks are the concern. Like he is, that is. If I'm gonna pour a little cold water on it, it's the walks. We've talked about how much those can have hurt the team in general.
17% walk rate in AAA.
That's very high.
It is, and it's not like it's gotten better recently. Like, well, actually, that's not true. I should lie. I shouldn't lie. He walked 2 batters on May 13th. Since he walked 2 that day, he has had 2 walks in his next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 appearances. So he has cut the walks down to 2 in his last 8 appearances. So that's something. Maybe they felt like he had made enough progress with his command and control that this was the time. Everyone was talking about how they needed an offensive spark. The bullpen gets one. I'll be curious to see if he stays up the whole year too. At this point, like, could be a lot of fun. If this works out, man, you got, again, Holderman's having a great year. Gaddis could still use some consistency. Cade Smith's still Cade Smith. If you get the chance to throw Daniel Espino to that mix, my goodness, that gets a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. That's the thing. It's like, this is fun because of, just how devastating. Like, Cade Smith has been, a top 3 reliever in baseball pretty much from the moment he came up. And I'm not going to disrespect him and say that like Daniel Espino has better stuff, because what Cade Smith also does is like limit everything so well. Like, it's like Espino's stuff is top shelf. There's the command issues that kind of make him, the temper it. But, outside of Cade Smith, I don't think anyone can match him.
No. In
terms of ceiling. I see someone commenting that they wish he was a starter. It's like, that ship had sailed. Like, let's be honest. They're going to
start him. We just said, they aren't.
Okay, you're right. But I'm going to say that I'm going to say with his health issues that ship sailed. But then again, I said the same thing that I thought, well, maybe Justin Campbell, and that's wrong. I've been wrong with that. So, maybe I'll be wrong here, but yeah, it's fun, right? Again, it's another one of their first round picks. He is, when they drafted him, we knew that it's weird mechanics and everything else. There's always going to be high risk. There's always so much high risk with prep arms in general, but now he's here, and the traits that got him drafted are what are seeing him up and make him such a fun and interesting player for this team.
Yeah, we'll go over some more minor league data. We'll talk about the journey here. We'll discuss more factors that go into this. We've got a couple other things too that we left over that we didn't get to the regular Friday episode that we can also pepper in here to throw in while we're recording this live reaction to Daniel Espino coming up to the majors. Well, I really could use the Cash App to help me save some money on Guardians tickets because I am there all the time. Literally, that's one place where I wish I can get a discount using the Cash App, and getting a little money back every time I go to a game there would be extremely awesome. And one of the things too that you see a lot these days is credit card fraud and all these things that you might lose money on. That's very dangerous. So Cash App also adds security to your money. It declines suspicious card transactions, sends you a notification to make sure the payment really is you. So if you ever have someone who's lost your card or stolen, able to lock it up with one tap right in the app. And I've come into those issues too. I've had my cards stolen from online. So being able to do that in one click is giving you a lot of confidence there. Now, Cash App new customers, you can earn $10 if you use code CashApp10 in your profile when you set it up on sign up. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. And our friends over at Indeed, things can get chaotic very quickly in the workplace, calling up prospects, whatever else there might be. But that is where Indeed sponsored jobs comes in for you. They take the stress out of finding candidates that fit the skills, the location, all the things you want in a candidate. So whether it's building a business or building a winning team, Indeed sponsored jobs is where you want to go to look for those. Talked about it multiple times. Jeff can chime in at some point too that they recruited me to be his co-host, and they didn't realize that Jeff and I knew each other, and they could have easily talked to him about that, and would have been a less chaotic hire, even though it worked out good. It was chemistry. Spend less time searching, more time interviewing candidates, check all your boxes, less stress, more time getting the results you need for your business. And if you are a listener of the show, you can get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job get the premium status it deserves. And Indeed.com/podcast. Go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support the show, saying you heard about a Locked On Guardians. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is the job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Woohoo! Well, thanks for joining us here late on this live edition of Locked On Guardians. We were literally wrapping up the show for Friday, which I believe is going to be live here in a few minutes on YouTube.
I just published the audio, so because I know we're going to have the bonus episode, so I'm just pushing it out.
Yeah, so that's all out there. And then literally as that happened, someone had DM'd us about the Espino news. We confirmed with the source to make sure it was legitimate, and indeed we believe it is. And yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, we do have a comment here. Cal Steven on the IL, an elbow injury in Akron. That is definitely a bummer. I believe Rafe Schlesinger is going to take his place in Akron because he was the scheduled starter tonight in Lake County. So just connecting the tea leaves on that one. I don't have any source behind that, but I will say data wise, Jeff, if you look over at TJ Stats, just looking at
have it up,
the percentiles. Yeah, it's really good. Whiff rate in the 98th percentile in AAA, strikeout rate in the 91st percentile, 33%, expected weighted on base average, which is, it gives weights to all the outcomes that happen: walk, hit by pitch, single, double, triple, homer. And each one obviously is worth more than the last one. Not having a lot of expected high outcomes against him, 260. Guys are chasing.
But also on the other side, it is only 18 innings. So there is that. And
yeah,
he does have an ERA over 5 for a reason. Like, it's like, it's interesting because he's not a complete player.
For sure.
That's what makes it really interesting.
437, and I can't find minor league Sierra. I don't think anybody has minor league Sierra. You know what I haven't looked at for him actually is his home road splits. That would be, we do know that the Columbus ballpark.
I'm currently on the baseball reference page, which is where you go to get minor league splits.
Yeah.
So here we go. He
has a better ERA at home. That's ironic.
He was born in Panama. Do you know the best pitcher in Panamanian history?
Who doesn't know this answer? If you don't know this answer, I swear it's.
I mean, I don't know if I would have known it. I got to be honest.
Mariano Rivera.
I mean, I just don't know where guys come from. That's not in mine.
Okay. I feel like everyone knows that answer. Yeah.
Second highest WAR. The highest WAR from Panama is Rod Carew. Then you have Mariano Rivera. Did not expect Carlos Lee, who had a great peak. 3, Manny Sanquillan, who was before mine, and Ben Ogilvy are your top 5. Carlos Ruiz slots in at 6th. Bruce Chen, former Guardian, is at 12.
Oh, Bruce Chen.
There you go. Jose Caballero, everyone's favorite Yankee, is at 17th currently.
Yeah, there is that one. So yeah, I wouldn't say Espino's back to pre-injury form, because pre-injury, his command was exceptional. Like so in 2022, he had walked in 18. So he's pitched 18 1/3 innings this year, Jeff, or 18 2/3 innings. The last time he pitched was 18 1/3 innings in 2022. His walk rate that year was 1.96 per 9 innings. It is currently 7.23. His command was just ridiculous. I mean, Espino would have been. There's a chance in 2022 Espino made his debut if he had stayed healthy. Like, he was that good. He would have been a 20-year-old. I'm sorry, 21. I remember the first time I watched him pitch in Lake County, and it was otherworldly. Like, the fastball is an absolute demon fastball. And that's the other thing too with the velocity. The velocity's back, which is great. He has touched 100. Hard to believe that after the shoulder issues he's had, that he is still getting back to that velocity. It's the extension too, right? It's 6.5 feet of extension. So his delivery is so far out in front of the mound that 97, 98, whatever it is, gets on you pretty quickly. And for those who may not be familiar with, is induced vertical break, which is what allows you to kind of get the fastball over the bat of hitters. It doesn't really defy gravity, but it looks like it does. It's kind of a visual trick, because obviously when you're pitching from the slope of the mound, every ball's natural gravity position comes down. So induced vertical break takes into account how much gravity you kind of avoid naturally with the fastball. And his can get up to 20, like 17 to 20. And for reference, like Garrett Cole has been one of the IVB monsters in baseball over the last, decade since that became in vogue, and he is close to Garrett Cole's on that. So that's why his fastball, and even if it doesn't miss bats, it's very weak contact. Like, he's been very good at inducing weak contact as well. So that's also a big deal.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's the starter set for a dominant reliever. It really is a starter set. But the interesting thing is, it's still kind of a starter set. It's he hadn't even gotten that much experience. We talked about that. There's, for those who don't know, that the baseball in AAA is the same one they use in the majors, and they don't use it in AA or any of the levels below that. And pitchers have described it to us as slick or hard to control, and it can lead to more issues with walks. That could be part of the issue. But like, they're bringing them up. They're not worried about the command. They're not worried about adjusting the baseball. They're like, it just, because you don't, like, Espino's not a guy you call up for, like, I think a weekend. I don't feel like maybe it's a reward. I don't know. But it is just, to me, it's still mind-blowing that it's him and not Alaman. But hey, it's fun. Like, it is the most fun choice they could make.
Yeah, I'd say fun is for sure. And the grades on the stuff is just incredible. Like, if you look at Stuff Plus, 4-seam 113, where 100 is average, right? I believe 100 is league average. I think so, yeah. The slider is 109. It really is a 2-pitch mix. It's really just a fastball and slider. Like, he does have the curveball that he'll drop in from time to time, which is hilarious, because his fastball is 97 to 98. And his slider is low 90s to high 80s, and then he has this curveball that's 75 miles an hour. So it's hilarious that he can drop that in at times. The slider, it's mostly those 2 pitches there. Vertical is incredible. Expected batting average against the fastball is 130, slider 197, expected slug 193 against the fastball, 311 against the slider. So guys just are not hitting it at AAA. I would say really it's just the walks. It really is just the walks. And that is what I think that's the most surprising thing is the walks. And it's also the fact that his workload has just been so controlled at AAA. And I don't know how they're going to handle the workload at the majors. Maybe it won't be for long. We'll see. But I'm really excited for him. Like I said, the journey has not been an easy one with the surgeries, and for him to even come back and forget making the majors and all the stuff to come back for him to. There's not a lot of guys who have come back from those shoulder surgeries, not like one, let alone two. Right, shoulders are probably worse than elbows for pitchers. So
I mean, he didn't pitch in 23 or 24. Like he legitimately had 2 years where he didn't do like any in-game
he only threw 18 innings in 2022. It wasn't like he pitched a lot in 2022 either. And then he didn't come back until late last season. He threw 2/3 of an inning on the last day of the season in Columbus, and then he threw a couple of innings in the Arizona Fall League. They don't need to make a 40-man move. He's already on the 40, for those who are wondering. I haven't seen that question, but you never know. So
his 18.2 innings so far this year is just 5 behind his second highest total of his career. That's how much there's been health and other concerns. So,
well, did he pitch? Oh, yeah, he pitched 91 and then 23. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So it's just that's where he is. It's a high water mark. He's almost, he should reach the point where he's going to be over 23.2 innings this year. If it doesn't happen, I don't even feel bad as a fan of the team. I just would feel bad for him. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how he's deployed, in what situations, how they're going to use him, just because, they have been so cautious and they have been so careful. But again, the ceiling is, we've talked about, that the ceiling is making him what Kate Smith used to be, right? We're going to deploy you against the middle of the lineup whenever they're going to come up for what we perceive to be their last one. This is,
the fireman. Whew.
Yes, this is, you're doing this because we thought that'd be Andrew Walters. Andrew Walters, speaking of command issues, is really scuffling in AAA. Anyone who's screaming for Walters is just not paying attention to AAA baseball. We love him. We think he'll get there eventually, but he has struggled. So it really, outside of Espino, if you're going down there, and Hoyer has not looked great when he's come up. It's like we thought Alaman, because he's pitched well. He is repeating the level, and you can go listen to today's episode for our discussions about how much you dive into repeat statistics. But for Espino to get this call, and I was kind of curious to see. It's like that's a problem with baseball reference stuff. It's like what his FIP is, but I bet it's better than his overall performance numbers. It's just that situation. The stuff is so good. He misses so many bats, and hopefully, as you stated, it's like I have some hope that he will 4.37 FIP, so it's almost a run lower in his ERA. But I have some hope that some of the command issue this year, he's averaging 7 walks per 9. That's huge. That some of this is him getting used to a different baseball as well. That maybe he can bring this down to something a little bit more once he's used to the baseball. And I don't know if I want to say it feels a little bit desperate that they're jumping to him when it's clear he still has some things to work on. But I also applaud them for giving this kid this opportunity, because with his health history, you never know what's going to happen. And not to jinx him or put any negative, but you never can tell with any pitcher what's going to happen. So he has pitched well, and they're giving him the reward at the call up. And I think that's also valuable too.
It is. It's going to be really exciting, and it'll be a big moment. So also good. I'm guessing they probably told him yesterday, so his family has time to fly up to Cleveland for that. Cleveland is pretty good in terms of making sure players' families can get up here for the debut. So yeah, this is going to be just regardless of what he does, whatever happens.
Let's see, from Panama City to Cleveland, it would cost you $774 and take you 9 hours and 17 minutes right now. So not quite the
I don't know if, well, I remember he did go to high school in Georgia.
Did in Georgia Premier Academy.
So I don't know if his family is.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they're located, but yeah, it's it's a great story. Bottom line, very happy for the kid. I'm going to be excited to watch him pitch. It's going to be must-see TV when he comes in. It's going to be like text chains, like Espino's in.
It will be. No matter what happens. Yeah. The other thing here too is Jeff is they could be showcasing him for a trade.
I'm not fighting. I'm not fighting. I'm not. Should we talk about Trevor Stephan now?
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, yeah. Trevor Stephan did pitch the other day. We were supposed to finish this up, but Trevor Stephan did pitch in the Arizona Complex League the other day, rookie ball. Pitched good. The velocity was back. that's good. Yeah, the velocity was back up. It was so he was before the Tommy John in 2024. He was like what 94, 97, and then he came back and he was like 90, 91, and it was 90, 92, 94 his last outing or his most recent outing in the Arizona Complex League. He hadn't pitched in spring training in a real
maybe
game.
we'll see him in Columbus before the month is done if all things go well with him.
Yeah, that's good. So good for him to come back there.
Yeah. So another nice history guy with some rough injury history, pitching well. But story of the day, Daniel Espino, one of the most exciting pitching prospects of the last 10 years, just in terms of stuff. Maybe the last 20 years, even in terms of just stuff. So he's going to come. He's going to have 2 dominant plus pitches. And again, you're watching for the command. That's what keeps you leery, but you're going to be enjoying the strikeouts, the velocity, the pitch movement. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a lot of holding your breath. Yeah.
But most of all, just congrats to him and the family for persevering and making it to this point. And everything after that, let's hope for the best. But he made it. And that's it really is a great
thing. And he's 25, and he's got a chance once he settles in and gets used to the baseball and everything else to be that fireman role for this team, which could be a very important role for them as they continue to move forward. But thank you all for joining us on this bonus episode. We gotta go do post-production on a new episode, Justin.
Yep, it'll be out live as a normal episode, just like the other one. So more work for us and hopefully more enjoyment for you. I enjoyed talking about it, but hope everybody's excited.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Thank you all for joining us, and go Guardians, go. Shout out to Espino
Nation.